So we're kind of stuck in the house with this storm here. Got a bunch of snow. Something different. But the mail still ran and we got some stuff in so we can work on the drift machine. Let's go do that. Hi, thanks for joining us today. We will be doing the water pump and the thermostat housing all in one unit. Before we do get started on that, I want to say thank you to a buddy of mine, Tony. He told me that hey, your audio sucks, but the content is good. So today we got a mic on my person. Hopefully you can hear me better and throughout the video. So we're slowly making improvements. All right, so let's get started. All right, so for this repair, you'll need your thermostat and the housing. It's all in one unit. Of course, you'll also need your water pump, a torque wrench, some ratchets and extensions. You'll need a 13 millimeter socket, a 10 millimeter socket. You'll also need a T25 socket. That's for the fan screws. Your 8 millimeter Allen wrench, and your screwdriver. For this part, we're going to free up some space. We're going to try to remove these two screws at the top here. It's a Torx T20. Two screws right here. Unplug this harness, and you're just going to pull straight up. Okay, so this belt right here, you take a picture of this before you remove it so you can remember how to put it back on. But what we're going to do is take this off, just off this pulley here and here, okay, for the power steering. Just remove that part off and just let it hang. And remember to take that picture, okay, so you'll remember how to put it back on. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and disconnect this clip here and right here on the other side of the thermostat. And we're just going to loosen that and pull it to the side. Okay, so now they're pulled off. If you need help on how to remove that, one of my previous videos it shows how to change these hoses out and how to install and remove them. Just check back with that video. We're going to go ahead and loosen the bolts and remove this plug that is on the thermostat housing. Okay, so unplug it, press it in and unplug it, and then we'll remove the bolts. So there's 4 10 millimeter bolts on the water pump pulley here. We're just going to loosen them enough to slide the belt off. Don't take it off all the way. So just loosen it and just enough to give slack to take the belt off. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna use an 8 millimeter Allen, and when we put it in on the tensioner, we're going to rotate it clockwise you're gonna clockwise rotate to reduce tension, slide the belt off. All right, so now we made it just enough slack that the belt can slide off. I'll just leave it hanging like that. Now I can go ahead and remove the 4 10 millimeter bolts on the water pump pulley itself. I can go ahead and remove it completely. Earlier we just loosened it so that it can stay on there, but if we loosened it right now and then try to remove that pulley, it's gonna be really hard to remove those bolts and take the pulley off when it's free spinning without the help of the belt holding it tight for you. So that was the reason why we loosened it and then removed the belt, taking it off, and then we can remove the bolts after we've taken it off the engine. Okay, now that we've removed the pulley with the 4 10 millimeters, now there's another 4 10 millimeter nuts that are holding on the water pump. Okay, go ahead and remove those nuts with a a small extension to get past that and go ahead and loosen it all up and get the water pump out. Okay, so I was able to loosen up the 4 nuts and slightly get a tug on it. There's an O-ring that seals it in pretty tight. So you're just gonna give some a little bit of force to break that loose a little bit. And there's gonna be some fluid coming out. Just get your tray at the bottom. There it is. All right, so this is the old one. All right, so we're gonna be replacing that. Okay, the new unit will be nice and fresh. So it comes with the O-ring. So here's the O-ring that comes with it. You gotta take it out and you're gonna put the O-ring on, slide it around this groove. That's gonna be what's sealing it. So take the O-ring off, put it on there. Okay, once you put the O-ring on, the way this goes in, there's a plug. You can see on one, usually there's one on one of the bottom sides here. That's gonna be, it's the weep, but this will be at the bottom. Okay, so that plug's on the bottom side, and there's gonna be 4 bolts that go straight in. So if you can't remove the old water pump off, you're having trouble, there's these 2 threaded holes here. It takes 6M bolts. Okay, so you get equal length bolts, and you're just gonna ratchet them in until they press against the block, and it's gonna remove the water pump for you with ease. But for me, I just tugged on it enough where I could break loose the rubber seal on the old one. So that's all you gotta do. Okay. Okay, when putting back the water pump, the nut, the 4 10 millimeters, I'm gonna set them to 7 foot-pounds. That's 7 foot-pounds. That's what I set mine at. I'm gonna do the same for all my 10 millimeters. Okay, so now putting on the water pump nut is 7 pounds all the way around. Just make sure to do a crisscross pattern. And then now moving on to the thermostat housing. It's a 1-piece unit with a thermostat and a thermostat housing. Okay, so it's all in one piece. To get to that, we're gonna start by removing this nut here and one right here. This one's a 13, this one's 11 millimeter. Okay, let's get those off. Alright, so once you've got that 13 out, loosen this 11 millimeter. It's loose now that you can remove. That's one of the bolts that holds the top of the housing. Now you can just leave that there. And there's 3 more 10 millimeters that are 2 on the bottom, 1 right here, just on this side. So go ahead and we're gonna remove that and take that thermostat out. Take it out, gonna clean the surface. There's the old gasket material. You can just wipe it down, try to get most of it off, and then we're gonna put the new one back in reverse order, and then torque down those bolts. 7 pounds, 7 foot-pounds. So moving on to the torque wrench with the 10 and extension. We're tightening all the 10. That's going to be for the water pump and the thermostat. 10 millimeters, all at 7 pounds. Okay, 7 foot-pounds. Let me go ahead and set that. Okay, so we are. This is 0. There's 5 and plus 2. All right, 7 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and tighten that. Done with the torque specs. 7 pounds for the thermostat housing and the water pump bolt. Or sorry, the water pump nuts. There's 4 of them, 3 here, and 1 13 and 11 on top. And all you gotta do is reattach the hoses and put that belt back, and reverse order for the tensioner. That'll do it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.